Modern society wants your home to be a center of consumption, a place to simply store things you bought, and a place to sleep in between shifts. But life can be so much more than that. That's why we turned our home into a center of production where we can grow, cook, and build a life we love. In the last video, I talked about why we choose to live cheap on purpose, and a lot of you wanted to know specifically what that looks like from day to day. So today I'm going to walk you through 12 things we now make at home that we used to just buy at the store without even thinking about it. Some of these will save you money, some of them are just flat out better than anything you can buy, and some of them, honestly, just give you a feeling that's hard to put into words once you start doing it yourself. Let's get into it. I wanted to make real sourdough bread for the longest time. Real healthy bread without those packets of store-bought instant yeast. And for a while, I just kept ending up with these flat bricks every single time. I'm really glad I never gave up on it, because once I figured it out, it became one of the most rewarding things we do in this kitchen. The turning point for me was stopping trying to make my own starter from scratch and getting an established starter from Baker Creek Seed Company instead. I bought their dehydrated Old World sourdough starter and followed their directions to rehydrate it, and from that point on, every loaf has come out perfectly. The process couldn't be simpler now. I just keep our starter in the fridge, and the night before I want to bake with it, I'll pull it out, feed it, and just leave it on the counter overnight. By morning, it's active and ready to be used. We also started grinding our own wheat berries fresh before we bake. That alone took the flavor to a completely different level. You can actually taste the difference. And by grinding wheat fresh each time, we not only get the most nutritious flour, it makes the wheat last longer in storage in their natural seed form because flour loses nutrients the moment it's ground. Store bread doesn't even feel like the same food anymore. It never was. The store bread is full of preservatives to make them help stay shelf stable and not something you really want to eat. So the less ingredients it takes to make something, the better it's going to taste, and the better it will be for your health. Chickens were my gateway animal into this whole lifestyle. And the first morning I walked outside and collected eggs from our own flock, honestly, I can't even describe that feeling. But the one word that comes to mind is independence. I know eggs aren't the most expensive thing at the grocery store, but there is no comparison between a fresh egg from a well-cared-for hen and what you pull off of a grocery store shelf. The lives most commercially raised chickens live can be very different, to say the least. The yolk from your homegrown hens will be darker, richer, and it's nice to know what went into feeding them because you raised the bird yourself. Once you have your own eggs, buying them at the store almost feels insulting. It takes a little work to care for your birds properly, but once you have some systems dialed in, your breakfast is just a walk outside to the chicken coop. For the first few years, we'd buy new chicks each spring from the feed store, which is fine, but once we started hatching our own, that changed everything. It's now one less thing we have to buy every year. But more than the money aspect, there's something genuinely incredible about watching new life hatch right in your own home. Our kids are at the age where that kind of thing leaves a real impression on them, and I want them to remember those moments. We hatch both chickens and ducklings. Ducks are fantastic. They're great foragers, they're hardy, and duck eggs are incredible for baking. You don't really need much to get started. You just need a basic incubator, fertilized eggs, and have a little patience. Most people just grab a bag of commercial feed at the store and call it a day. And look, there's nothing wrong with that when you're starting out. In fact, I still do it now from time to time, depending on how busy I am. But once you understand what's actually going on in that bag of feed, you might want more control over what your birds are eating. And it's for the same reasons you might want to consider growing your own food for your family as well, which I'll get into a little bit more just a little bit. We have experimented with mixing our own feed using whole grains, corn, wheat, and oats, which did save some money over pre-mixed bags of feed. Last year, we raised black soldier fly larvae for protein, and we also ferment their feed, which is easier for them to digest it, and it stretches their feed a bit further. Our birds can't free range here, but I let them roam in these chicken tunnels as much as possible. That alone cuts our feed costs significantly and gives them a more natural diet. I made a video a few months back talking about how I'm planting more perennials in their tunnels this year so they can have more fodder to eat year-round. The more your chickens forage, the less you spend. It's that simple. It also makes your chickens happier, and happy chickens equals a kitchen full of eggs. This year, we're also expanding a garden specifically for the chickens. It's their own chicken garden where I am hoping to grow this year a year's supply of feed for the chickens. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to our channel so you could see that as we develop that garden for the chickens. This one is so easy. We stopped buying commercial cleaners a while back, not just because of the cost, but because of what's in them. Most of those products are full of chemicals I don't want my kids around or my family breathing in every day. Making the homemade cleaner is very simple. It is just taking citrus peels and soaking them in vinegar for a few weeks. We soaked ours for a little over a month, so it's a little bit of a stronger citrus smell. You can keep it at full strength, but we chose to dilute it a little bit with water. Mayonnaise is the simplest thing you can make. All you need is an egg, and I chose a duck egg because it has the larger yolk, and your oil of choice. We typically use MCT oil mixed with olive oil, but I only have olive oil to use right now, so we use that, and then we add some mustard powder or Dijon mustard, salt, and a little bit of garlic for flavor at the end. I add some apple cider vinegar or lemon juice, depending on what we have on hand, and use the immersion blender starting at the bottom and going up until it's all blended together. This one is pretty close to my heart. It's what started everything for me. I talk about this a lot more in my book, but growing your own vegetables is as close to printing money as anything I've ever done, or anything you could do, really. A single seed packet costs next to nothing and can produce food all year long. But beyond the cost, you'll know exactly what went into it. No pesticides, no chemicals, and no wondering if the food is going to make you sick. And when your kids pull a carrot out of the ground for the first time, or eat a tomato right off the vine, that's something a grocery store can never give you. And even more than that, gardening doubles as a way to keep your body in shape as you age. You'll never enjoy the freedom you build for yourself if your body breaks down, so gardening is a great way to keep yourself active and moving. And honestly, I find myself just losing track of time when I'm spending time in the garden. If you can get your hands on a good quality heavy cream, ideally from a local farm, making your own butter is so simple. You just whip it past the whipped cream stage until it separates. Drain the buttermilk, work out the liquid, and add a little salt. There is a savings with making your own butter because you also get the buttermilk with it that you can use for cooking. We ended up with about a half pound of butter plus the buttermilk. It's not a huge savings, but it definitely is one, and it's fresher and better for you. Ice cream follows a similar idea. We control everything that goes into it. We make it as a family, and it's become one of those simple pleasures that costs almost nothing, but feels like a real treat.
So in here, it's bananas, milk, maple syrup, and they wanted cocoa powder, so we put some cocoa powder and then some vanilla extract. I have extra milk in case, it's on the bottom. Okay. If I need extra, it depends on how creamy it is.
Mom, you said you would put chocolate in it.
I did. Hold on, we gotta test it.
I'll do the tester.
Take a bite.
Mmm.
Is it good? Okay.
Cheese making sounds intimidating, but we started with a simple mozzarella which is very beginner friendly. To make it, we poured a gallon of raw milk into a heavy bottom pot. That helped keeps it from scorching on the bottom. We heated it on medium-low and used a thermometer to bring it up to 120 degrees. Keep stirring the whole time or it'll burn. Once you hit that temperature, turn off the heat and add about a cup of white vinegar. I'll be honest, I didn't follow the recipe perfectly and added it a little early, but it didn't matter. It still worked out fine. So don't stress too much about the exact timing on that. Keep stirring and you'll start to see the curds form. These big chunks separating from the liquid. That's your cheese. Once you see that happening, let it sit in the warm whey for about 15 minutes. Then is the fun part. You pull the curds out and squeeze out as much whey as you can and start stretching it. The cheese needs to be pretty warm to stretch properly. And if you have a microwave, you can use that. We don't, so we kept dipping it back in the warm whey, squeezing it out, and stretching it again until it came together. We weren't going for perfection here, we just wanted real cheese that we made ourselves, and that's exactly what we got. Once you're happy with it, you can drop it in an ice bath for 15 minutes and then store it in the fridge. And that's it. That's how you make fresh mozzarella cheese at home from start to finish. For a long time, I was scared to even try this. I always wanted to mess around with solar. I was fascinated by it. But I worried if I went messing around with solar panels and wiring something up wrong, I'd either break everything or hurt myself, or burn the house down. But here's the truth. The solar power stations available today are literally plug and play. It's not the complicated off-grid system I had in my head. I connected our panels to a power station and now we can run lights, charge devices, and power a fridge or freezer without touching the grid at all. And if the power ever goes out, we'd be fine. And on a practical level, plugging a chest freezer or fridge or just running your lights off the solar station instead of the grid can actually save on your electric bill each month. Similar to the chickens and the sourdough, I just had to stop being afraid of it and start. That's the whole thing. If you're interested in the power stations we're using, I have affiliate links down below so you could check them out if that's something you're interested in. Buying seeds every year is a cost most gardeners just accept. But once you start saving your own seeds from heirloom and open pollinated varieties, that cost just disappears. Let a few of your best plants go to seed at the end of the season, dry them properly, and store them in a cool, dry place. And you've got next year's garden already taken care of. We save seeds from tomatoes, peppers, beans, lettuce, squash, and more. Some of our seed stock is already a few years old, but still germinates very well. The grocery store probably doesn't want you to know how simple this is. It's also really fun and empowering to develop a catalog of seeds from your own plants you grew right in your backyard. You also will end up growing even better plants from your own saved seed because they will develop traits that are adapted specifically to your climate. Something I'm attempting this year is to develop new varieties of plants by breeding different types together. Maybe that makes me sound a little nerdy, but I don't care. I love gardening, and seed saving and plant breeding is taking gardening to the next level. The last thing I want to mention is canned goods. This is something we really started leaning into this year, preserving and storing what we grow, so we need even less from the store. We made our own tomato sauce from the garden, ferment our own sauerkraut, and we're expanding into more canning and preserving as we go. Sauerkraut in particular is almost free to make. It's just cabbage and salt, and it's loaded with probiotics your body actually needs. A jar at the store might cost $8 or more. We can make it at home for almost nothing. Every jar on that shelf is one less thing we have to buy, one more step toward a pantry that doesn't depend on anyone else. And look, you don't have to do all 12 of these things. Just pick one and start there. Maybe it's bread. Maybe it's getting a few chickens. Maybe it's just making your own cleaner this week. But every skill you add is a little more freedom, a little more control, a little less dependence on a system that's getting more expensive every year. There's something so satisfying and rebellious about cooking your own food, raising your own kids, and refusing to outsource your life. That is truly the secret to thriving amidst the chaos these last few years. And your commitment to all of those things is exactly how you too can live a cheap on purpose life in 2026. And we're not trying to impress anyone by how we live. And the more we learn to make ourselves, the less anyone can take away from us. If growing your own food is on that list for you this year, my book, The 400 Square Foot Garden, is a simple plan to get your first garden going, even if you've never grown anything before. The link is down in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one.